All right, let's get into it because the Buffalo Bills just made a move that might define their offense in the next several seasons. The James Cook contract saga is officially over, and yeah, it took a while. It dragged on through minicamp, through training camp, through all the noise, but in the end, the Bills got it done. Cook signed a 4-year extension worth $48 million, with $30 million guaranteed, locking him in through the 2029 season. That's not just an extension. That's a full-on vote of confidence. That's the front office standing up and saying, this guy is our future. And look, if we're being honest, it was always going to come to this. Because for all the talk, for all the debates online, for all the but Ray Davis looks solid, or Ty Johnson can handle third downs, or even the occasional, what about Deion Dawkins, takes deep down, we all knew. James Cook is the second most important player on this offense. Period. End of story. Outside of Josh Allen, there is nobody more impactful, more electric, more capable of turning a routine play into a highlight reel than James Cook. So now, with the ink dry on that contract, we can finally stop speculating and start talking football. But let's back it up for a second. Because when you look at how this whole situation unfolded, you have to give credit to Cook for how he played his cards. Quietly, calmly, and strategically. No media tirades. No dramatic trade requests. Just subtle moves, skipping voluntary workouts, then showing up for mandatory ones. Taking part in training camp, until he didn't. The classic hold-in. Not a holdout, but a hold-in. He showed up, but didn't participate fully, and in doing so, he kept himself present without putting himself at risk. Smart. And the message was clear. I'm here, I'm committed, but I'm also betting on myself. And it worked. And honestly, it should have worked. Because for all the debates about positional value, the endless do you really pay running backs arguments, James Cook isn't just a traditional back. He's a weapon. He's a home run threat. He's the guy that could take a handoff up the middle and somehow end up 60 yards downfield before anyone's figured out what just happened. Last season alone, he had 4 touchdown runs of over 40 yards. The only guy in the entire league who had more was Saquon Barkley. And that's what separates him. Not just the yards, not just the carries, but the danger, the unpredictability, the fact that every time he touches the ball, the defense has to hold its breath. Now, some fans weren't sold. Let's be honest. There were plenty of people, especially during the early offseason, saying things like Cook's not worth top running back money, or he's not consistent enough, or Ray Davis could do the same thing for cheaper. But here's the thing. The Bills didn't just pay Cook because he's solid. They paid him because he changes the math. When Cook's in the backfield, it opens things up for Josh Allen. It creates lanes. It forces defenses to stay honest. It gives this offense a second identity beyond, let Josh be Superman. And when you're trying to build a contender, that second identity is everything. Brandon Beane knew it too. You don't hand out 6 contract extensions in one offseason without having a long-term vision. And this one might be the most significant of the bunch. It's the first time this regime has drafted, developed, and re-signed a running back. That's a big moment. And Beane's comments after the deal got done showed exactly how much this one meant. Not just from a team-building perspective, but from a locker room culture standpoint. You draft a guy, you invest in him, you give him the room to grow, and when he delivers, you reward him. That's the message this extension sends. And if you're wondering about the numbers, it's not even a cap killer. It's not $15 million per year. It's not Saquon money. It's a manageable deal that puts Cook in the top 6 or 7 running backs in the league salary-wise, but still leaves the Bills with flexibility. That's how you win in this league. You pay your stars, but you do it smart. And with this deal, they've done exactly that. Now, let's talk about what this means on the field. Because we've seen flashes of what this offense can look like when Cook is firing on all cylinders. But now, with that contract weight off his shoulders, we could be in for the best version of James Cook yet. And it's coming at the perfect time. Josh Allen is in his prime. The offensive line has continuity. And with guys like Dalton Kincaid emerging and the receiver room getting deeper, Cook won't have to carry the offense, but he can when needed. That's the key. He gives them options, multiple ways to win. And that's what separates good teams from great ones. And don't sleep on what this says to the rest of the locker room, either. Because when you look at guys like Ty Johnson, Ray Davis, even other young players still trying to make their mark. Seeing the team reward a guy like Cook sends a powerful message. If you show up, if you work, if you produce, you will get paid. And in a league where so many players bounce around chasing that first big deal, knowing that your current team values you that much, that matters. And James Cook, he handled this like a pro. Quiet confidence, letting his game speak. And when he was asked if he ever felt misunderstood during this whole process, his answer was perfect. Y'all don't know what I'm going through, and y'all's opinion don't matter. It's just me being myself, staying true to myself, and believing in myself. You have to respect that. That a guy who knows who he is. And for a young team still trying to find its new identity post-Diggs, post-McDermott era uncertainty, that kind of grounded confidence is exactly what you want in your core. Now, obviously, this isn't just about Cook. There's still competition in the running back room. Ty Johnson is a solid third down option. Ray Davis is intriguing. But none of those guys bring the full package like Cook does. He's got the vision, the burst, the receiving ability, and most importantly, the explosiveness. You need someone who can rip a chunk play out of nowhere when your offense is stuck in the mud. That's James Cook. That's why you pay him. And yeah, it's not like this was a no-brainer from day one. There was real concern that the Bills wouldn't go through with it. Plenty of folks, even within the fan base, assumed this would end the same way things ended with Tremaine Edmunds. You let the player walk, thank him for his service, and move on. But this time, they chose to keep him. They looked at their current offensive core and said, we're not subtracting, we're building around Josh Allen. We're giving him what he needs. And Cook is a major piece of that puzzle. What makes this whole situation even more interesting is how much the league is shifting away from paying running backs. It's become almost trendy to let your back walk, draft another one in the 4th round, and ride that rookie contract. But the Bills went against the grain here. Why? Because Cook isn't just a running back. He's a playmaker. And when you got a quarterback like Josh Allen, surrounding him with dynamic players who can take pressure off his shoulders is absolutely essential. If locking in James Cook was the spark the Bills needed, now it's time to see what that ignition leads to on the field. Because let's be honest, the conversation doesn't end with a contract. In fact, it's only just beginning. The expectations are higher now. Cook is no longer the promising young back on a rookie deal. He's being paid like one of the top backs in the league. That comes with pressure. That comes with eyes on him every snap. But if we've learned anything from the way he handled the hold-in and the way he's spoken publicly, or rather, how he's barely spoken, it's that he's not interested in outside noise. He's not trying to prove anything to fans or media. He's trying to prove something to himself. That mindset is going to be crucial as the season ramps up. And right now, with the Bills heading into joint practices with the Bears, the spotlights only go to get brighter. The preseason is already rolling. And as the reps get more intense, as the roster battles sharpen, Cook becomes more than just a storyline. He becomes a tone setter. Because if he's dominating early, it gives the coaching staff flexibility. They don't have to overwork Josh Allen. They can experiment with different looks, different tempo, different formations. That's the kind of impact that goes beyond box scores. But let's shift gears a bit, because while the Cook deal is the headline, it's not the only thing happening at camp. Injuries are starting to pile up, and some of them could have real implications on this team's depth chart. Dion Dawkins, one of the most important veterans on this offense, was a no-show at practice. That alone is enough to make people hold their breath. When your franchise quarterback is already being asked to carry so much, the last thing you want is uncertainty at left tackle. Now, Dawkins did tweet jokingly about Cook's extension, talking about cookies and dinners, which might imply things aren't serious. But still, any missed time from a key lineman during the stretch of camp is something you've got to monitor closely. And then there's Elijah Moore. Look, this was supposed to be a prove-it camp for him, a chance to revitalize his career, rebrand himself, and earn a real role in this offense. But instead, we're heading into mid-August, and he hasn't done much of anything. Missed practices, no real standout moments, just silence. And at a certain point, availability becomes everything. If you're not on the field, you're not building chemistry with Josh Allen. You're not showing coaches what you bring. You're not pushing yourself into the mix. And when guys like KJ Hamler are making noise, flashing that speed, catching touchdowns in preseason and camp, you're falling behind. Fast. The truth is, more's on the brink. And if you had to make the call right now, it wouldn't be shocking if the Bills moved on. That sounds wild, considering the hype when he was brought in. People pointed to the upside, the explosiveness, the hope that in a better offense with a better quarterback, he could finally tap into that potential. But potential doesn't matter when the pads go on. Production does. And so far, Moore hasn't provided any. Meanwhile, other guys are capitalizing on the opportunity. KJ Hamler, as we mentioned, continues to flash. Shavers, too. Tough as nails. Keeps pushing through. And Christian Wilkerson? Another one making the most of his reps. You can feel the urgency across this roster because the staff is watching everything. They know this window doesn't last forever. They know Josh Allen needs a receiver room that's reliable, durable, and explosive. And anyone not pulling their weight, they're not going to get the benefit of the doubt. Let's go back to Cook for a second, because his success directly impacts this receiving core. If he's as dynamic as the Bills believe, it changes how defenses line up. It forces linebackers to stay honest. It opens up lanes underneath. It gives Allen safer checkdowns. And most importantly, it makes play action actually dangerous. That's something this offense has been missing, balance. Not just run-pass ratio, but real, legitimate threats in every facet of the offense. Cook brings that. But the receivers need to do their part too. Guys like Khalil Shakir and Curtis Samuel are already building rapport with Allen. And if they stay healthy, they're locks. But beyond them, it's wide open. That's what makes Moore's absence so glaring. And while we're talking injuries, there were a few positive notes. Taylor Rapp and Cole Bishop were seen doing teamwork, which is a good sign for the safety group. With the departure of veteran anchors over the past couple of years, this secondary needs fresh blood to step up. Bishop, in particular, has the kind of physicality and instinct that could translate well at the next level. So seeing him moving better is encouraging. But even with some guys returning, the list of non-participants at practice was long. Elijah Moore, Curtis Samuel, Shavers, Khalil Shakir, Deion Dawkins, Cedric Van Pran Granger, Cam Lewis, Justin Hollins, and more. It's the kind of list that makes you pause and reevaluate where this team's depth really stands. Because when the regular season kicks off, there's no margin for error. You need your top guys healthy, and you need your depth pieces ready to contribute. So yeah, it's a big moment for Buffalo. James Cook is locked in. The offense has one of its key weapons under contract. And now it's time to see what that investment brings. It's not just about stats. It's about impact. And if Cook can be the guy we saw glimpses of last season, if he can string those highlights together consistently, then this team becomes a lot scarier, a lot more versatile, and a lot more ready for the war that is the AFC playoff race. Before we dive back in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest Buffalo Bills updates straight to your screen. And hey, don't hold back. Let us know your thoughts on today's news down in the comments. The sports world is buzzing with whispers that could redefine the NFL landscape, as reports suggest Josh Allen, the electric quarterback whose name has become synonymous with Buffalo Bills' resurgence, might be contemplating a shocking departure from the team following yet another record-breaking season. Sources close to the situation hint at behind-the-scenes discussions that have left analysts and fans speculating wildly about where the superstar signal caller could land next. Allen's leadership, combined with his unprecedented ability to extend plays and connect with his receivers under pressure, has made him a cornerstone of the Bills' offense. Yet the possibility of him seeking new horizons raises questions about team dynamics, loyalty, and ambition. The franchise has relied heavily on his dual-threat capabilities, blending arm strength with rushing agility, and his potential exit could trigger a domino effect throughout the league, igniting trade rumors and free agent interest. The intrigue deepens when considering the substantial investments Buffalo has made in surrounding him with talent, from offensive linemen to versatile receiving core, all of which could be rendered moot if Allen's curiosity for a new challenge outweighs his ties to the team. While no official statement has been made, social media chatter and insider hints suggest that this saga is far from over, leaving fans and pundits alike anxiously monitoring every move. Speculation intensifies as commentators debate which teams could realistically lure Allen away from Buffalo, with names like the Los Angeles Chargers, Miami Dolphins, and even Dallas Cowboys being thrown into the mix as potential suitors capable of offering both competitive rosters and market appeal. Industry insiders point to the quarterback's proven track record in clutch situations, particularly during playoff campaigns where his ability to orchestrate dramatic comebacks has become almost legendary, as a key factor that would make him irresistible to any franchise chasing a championship. Financial considerations undoubtedly play a role as well, with Allen reportedly positioned to command one of the most lucrative contracts in NFL history should he test the market, creating tension between the desire for long-term stability in Buffalo and the lure of new, ambitious projects elsewhere. Analysts also note that the Bills' management may face a difficult balancing act, negotiating between retaining a homegrown superstar and adapting to the inevitable rumors that could destabilize locker room morale. Fans are already envisioning alternate realities where Allen dons different colors, imagining offensive schemes in cities far from Buffalo, while sports betting lines have begun to adjust in anticipation of potential blockbuster deals. The ripple effect of this speculation extends beyond just the Bills, as team-building strategies across the league could pivot dramatically if a player of Allen's caliber were to seek a fresh challenge. Adding to the frenzy, insiders hint that personal factors could be influencing Allen's thinking, suggesting that lifestyle, family considerations, and long-term career aspirations might be shaping his contemplation of a move. While Buffalo has long been viewed as a quarterback-friendly environment, questions are emerging about whether Allen sees enough championship potential or whether another market might better align with his ambitions and off-field interests. The narrative is further complicated by his undeniable bond with the fan base, a relationship cultivated through electrifying performances and an aura of authenticity that has made him a local hero. Yet, rumors emphasize that even deep connections can be tested when a player reaches a career peak and seeks to maximize opportunities during a finite window of athletic prime. Observers speculate that a carefully orchestrated exit could allow Allen to control his narrative, potentially choosing a team where he becomes not just a player, but a transformative figure with long-term influence. Meanwhile, social media platforms are ablaze with theories, mock trades, and fan reactions ranging from shock to disbelief, fueling an atmosphere where every practice sighting or cryptic interview snippet is dissected for hidden meaning, illustrating just how sensitive and high-profile this potential shift has become in the broader sports discourse. While some commentators caution that this may be mere conjecture fueled by sensationalism and the timing of contract negotiations, the weight of multiple insider hints lends credibility to the possibility that Allen's tenure in Buffalo might be nearing a dramatic turning point. Sports networks are reportedly scrambling to secure interviews and expert analysis, attempting to piece together a coherent narrative from fragments of information, while fantasy football communities are recalculating projections for multiple teams, anticipating where Allen's talents could best influence point production. Rumors of possible trade packages involving draft picks or promising young players have already begun circulating, with speculation on which front offices have both the assets and the appetite to take on a quarterback of Allen's stature. The broader implications of such a move are staggering, from altering AFC playoff trajectories to redefining team identities. The presence or absence of Josh Allen has ramifications that ripple through coaching strategies, roster planning, and even merchandise sales. Analysts are particularly focused on how defensive coordinators across the league would adjust to face Allen's combination of arm talent and mobility, acknowledging that his unique skill set cannot easily be replicated. In the midst of this whirlwind, Buffalo's management remains tight-lipped, heightening the aura of mystery and leaving every insider leak or rumor to ignite further speculation, painting a portrait of a league on edge, poised for seismic shifts should this blockbuster scenario come to fruition. That's a wrap for now. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay on top of all things Buffalo Bills, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what you think in the comments. See you in the next update.